Well, I told you it was great to introduce him, but I didn't like to follow him, and now you know what I mean. Thank you very, very much, Secretary Wetzel, for those wonderful kickoff remarks, and I am so thrilled to be introducing our next speaker, and she'll be introducing the speaker after that. You know, we talk inside Washington, D.C., oftentimes you talk nationally, and there's the expression, it takes an act of Congress to do something, right, which means it's incredibly hard to do, nearly impossible, especially in such a partisan environment. It takes about an act of Congress these days to put together a national conference that's federally funded. You all know that there is a unique value to putting people in the same room together, that there is no substitute for being able to meet your peers from across the country and talk about what each other is doing. But the truth of the matter is today, the federal government is authorized to do very few conferences. And it is thanks to the hard work of our next speaker, the Assistant Attorney General, that one of the few conferences the Department of Justice is convening is on the subject of reentry. It is a true testament to this administration's commitment and Carol Mason's commitment in particular that the Department of Justice is bringing all of you together to focus on the subject of reentry. What's more, you're seeing a who's who of the federal government and of national politics at this conference. I'd like to tell you that's because I have all those phone numbers on my cell phone and I called up a few of my friends, but the fact of the matter is this incredibly high-profile panel that's about to speak is really a true testament to the work of the Assistant Attorney General, Carol Mason, the head of the Office of Justice Programs. She oversees all of the Bureau of Justice assistants and so many of the agencies that you are receiving grants from. I'm so thrilled that she's going to be able to introduce our terrific speakers from the federal government. Please join me in welcoming the Assistant Attorney General, Carol Mason.
So he's being a little self-effacing. It really is because of him. He really does have everybody's phone number, and he is relentless. So we really need to thank Mike. He's one of the first people I met when I took this job 2.5 years ago, and he is passionate about this work and all of you all. So on behalf of the Department of Justice and OJP, I'm delighted, really delighted, to welcome all of you to this conference, which I know many of you thought would never happen, that we'd have 1,400 people in one room at the same time, but we do. It's wonderful to see so many of the nation's reentry pioneers and so many of our Second Chance Act partners. Again, I want to thank Mike and the Council of State Governments Justice Center for organizing this week's events and for being such a terrific partner in our reentry work. And I'd also like to recognize and thank my colleagues at the Bureau of Justice Assistance. If you guys would stand up if you're here, and the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention, because they're all part of what reason you're here. So BJA is led by Denise O'Donnell, and OJJDP is led by Bob Listenby, who's here in the front. I want to thank them for all of the work they're doing together in leading our Second Chance efforts. And I'm thrilled now to have the opportunity to introduce one of our biggest champions, my boss, the Attorney General of the United States. Attorney General Lynch was sworn in by the Vice President in April, and in the 8 months that she's been on the job, she has sent a clear signal that her Department of Justice will serve, as she puts it, as the conscience of this nation. For her, that means giving our citizens who have served their time and paid their debts the chance that they all deserve to return to their communities ready to make a positive difference. In her meetings with the Justice Department leadership, I've heard her talk with passion and conviction, as you will shortly, about the critical importance of reentry programs for both individual redemption and public safety. As chair of the Federal Interagency Reentry Council, she continues to push the envelope, encouraging our federal partners to lower reentry barriers and to help those who have come into contact with the justice system find their way back into society. She's been a staunch advocate of reentry programs going back to her days as the U.S. Attorney in Brooklyn, and her support for the Second Chance Act as Attorney General is unequivocal. Attorney General Lynch believes in giving people a fresh start because it's good for public safety, but also because it's the right thing to do. Please join me in welcoming the Attorney General of the United States, Attorney General Loretta Lynch.
Well, good morning, all. Okay, wait, this is too energetic a group for that. Good morning, all. There we go, because I know the work that you're doing, so I know the energy that's in this room. So I want to thank Karol for that kind introduction and also for her outstanding work and leadership as the Assistant Attorney General in charge of the Office of Justice Programs. You know, when I was U.S. Attorney and now in my job as Attorney General, people often ask me, what's the best part of the job? It's really hard to distill it down to any one thing. It's really impossible. But the thing that I truly love and probably surprises people when I talk about it is the ability to provide federal resources to the important issues of the day. And the fact that so many people don't know the programs that we fund and the support that we provide is something that we're determined to change, but also determined to continue doing so. I want to thank the other panelists who are here. I'm so looking forward to hearing also from them. You're going to hear from Valerie Jarrett later. No greater champion for the rights of returning individuals, no greater champion for the rights of every individual to be a full and free member of society. And so I thank you for being here as well. Michael, and looking forward to hearing from you as well, and John, it's truly an outstanding panel. But I want to thank all of you. Thank you so much for coming here today to recognize not just the work that you do, but to focus on how to expand that work and how to make the promise of America real for everyone, every individual under the sheltering arm of our Constitution. I am so happy to be here with this great group, this distinguished group of advocates, of leaders, and all the experts who've come together for this important convening. We're going to get a lot done today. We're going to continue talking about how we can reduce recidivism, how we can improve the reentry outcomes, and help every American exiting prison lead a meaningful and a productive life, the life, in fact, that they were born to live. Now, this conversation is coming about at an extremely important time, at a significant time, and frankly, I think it is one of the conversations of our generation because it brings together so many important strands of thought. Over the last few years, we have truly gained a deeper understanding of how a variety of factors can undermine basic equality and distort the arc of justice in so many ways. And as a result, Americans from all backgrounds and beliefs have come together in a moment of clarity. People say it's rare for Washington, but I'm optimistic. But not just here in Washington, but across this country, we have a moment of clarity. A light is shining on this issue, and a light is shining on the fact that we have come to agree that our criminal justice system can and must be made more efficient, more effective, and more fair. We have the ability to do that, and we have the capability to do that, and we now have the will to do that. And frankly, it's a great thing. And thanks in no small part to the efforts of everyone in this room and the organizations you represent, here and across this country, we've arrived at a critical moment of consensus around the urgency of ensuring that every component of our justice system, from bail to fines and fees, from policing to indigent defense, and from sentencing guidelines to incarceration, is more closely aligned with our fundamental belief in opportunity and justice for all. And of course, there's so many steps along the way for us to examine, but a vital task, a vital and essential part of this inquiry is examining what happens to our fellow Americans when they exit the justice system. And with our criminal justice system now impacting 1 in 4 Americans in some way, the sheer human capital represented by that number is too important to all of our futures to be written off and thrown away. Their families cannot afford to lose their influence. Their communities cannot afford to lose their contributions. And we cannot afford to lose their potential. But what happens when our fellow Americans finish paying their debt to society and return home pockets empty? Do they have opportunities to further their education? Can they find jobs that allow them to grow and to succeed? Can they access mentoring programs and counseling services? Do they have what they need to stay on the right path? Do they have, in fact, a second chance? These are crucial questions with profound implications, not only for the individuals returning to society, but for every American in every community. Because I truly believe that how we treat those that we consider the least of these, those that we may look down upon for what they may have done at one point in time, is not so much a reflection on them, but a reflection on us. And if we let the cycle of incarceration and recidivism continue, too many Americans will be denied the chance to fulfill their potential and contribute their skills and their talents to their communities. And if we allow individuals who have done their time to be further punished upon release by collateral consequences brought on by prejudice and neglect, too many of our neighborhoods will continue to struggle under the burdens of division and mistrust. And if we do not prepare incarcerated individuals to re-enter society, public safety is harmed, taxpayer dollars are wasted, and more importantly, we as a country will fall far short of our promise. We need to make it clear. We need to take a stand. In America, we do not throw people away. We do not do that. And that's why the work that all of you are doing is so important. Whether you conduct job training for individuals looking for that important next step, whether you counsel people who are struggling with mental illness, with addiction, you make it clear to re-entering Americans that they are not alone. You walk alongside them as they navigate the difficult path forward, and you give them the tools and help them hone the skills that they need to make the most of their second chance. Your work is having a broader impact also, and that's why we're here today, to push it forward. Because of your successes, a growing number of states and municipalities throughout this country are implementing evidence-based programs to help reduce recidivism, to improve the prospects of the formerly incarcerated, and create the stronger, safer, and more prosperous communities for all of us. And as I stand before you today, I want you to know that the Department of Justice is committed to doing our part to advance that mission, to walk with you on this path. Now, since Congress passed the Second Chance Act in 2007, our Office of Justice Programs has made nearly 750 Second Chance Act grants, totaling more than $400 million. That includes, thank you so much, but it's because of the work that you did that that money goes out to help you do more. And that includes $53 million in fiscal year 2015 alone to 45 different jurisdictions. Now, with the help of these funds, our grantees have offered critical assistance to populations at moderate and high risk of recidivism. They have introduced comprehensive reentry programs for justice-involved youth, because we have to rescue our young people. They've helped people with diagnosed mental illnesses find stable housing, a major problem for this population, and also help them avoid rearrest. And they've also offered college credit to incarcerated individuals, as well as established a variety of metrics for tracking progress so that we know what works. And these are just a few of the examples, of the many, many examples that you and your partners have launched in 49 states with Second Chance Act funding. And we at the Justice Department could not be more proud to support your work, because you are the ones, you are the foot soldiers in the field carrying this message forward. You are the teachers, you are the trainers. It is you, in fact, who are the leaders of this effort. Now, in addition to our partnerships with you, we're working with a number of cabinet-level agencies throughout the Federal Interagency Reentry Council. This is a unique body. It's new over the last several years, and I am incredibly honored to serve as its chair. It's designed to reduce the federal barriers to reentry and to promote innovative approaches to reintegration for our fellow Americans. For instance, under the Council's auspices, we have launched a pilot program with the Department of Education that makes some inmates eligible for federal Pell Grants, opening doors for post-secondary education or training. This, we hope, is a pilot program that we can expand even further so that the true promise of America, the ladder of education that takes all of us to greater opportunities, is open to everyone. We've also joined with the Department of Housing and Urban Development to explore the ways that homelessness impacts the justice-involved population. We have long had the view that everyone in America deserves a home. So too do our fellow Americans returning home from the justice system. And in the coming weeks, the Departments of Justice and Labor will be establishing a national clean slate clearinghouse. This clearinghouse is designed to provide local jurisdictions the technical assistance with record cleaning and expungement, an appropriate follow-up, frankly a necessary and vital follow-up, to President Obama's recent announcement that federal employers would ban the box and no longer ask applicants about their criminal histories at the initial hiring stage. This important step on the part of the federal government, we hope, will be a bellwether for states and municipalities as well, so that our fellow Americans can have the chance to present themselves as people and their qualifications before their record. Of course, take it into consideration, but give them the opportunity to shine before we shut that door in their face. Now, the scope and the pace of these efforts is a reminder of the real and remarkable progress that the United States has made in helping incarcerated citizens succeed after prison. But though we've made an encouraging start, we've done a lot. There's a lot to talk about and a lot to be proud of. As everyone in this room knows, our work is not done. Our work is far from finished. This is a critical juncture. We're at a moment of bipartisan agreement. It's more important than ever that we harness this momentum, that we continue to push forward, so that every American returning from prison can find dignified work, can find shelter, so they can receive fair treatment, full opportunity, so they can return to a society that values them as fellow citizens, so that they can, in fact, truly return home. Now, there are no illusions here in this room that the work ahead of us is going to be easy. But with the help of the extraordinary partners that are gathered here today and all that you represent across this country, I'm not only hopeful about what we can do, I'm confident about what we can do and about where our nation is headed. After all, this group was calling for change in this area long before criminal justice reform led the news broadcast. Before the cameras were there, you were in the trenches working on these issues. And I know that long after the cameras are gone, you'll still be there with your sleeves rolled up and your hand held out to offer help. And now that change is within sight, let all of our conviction deepen, let our resolve strengthen, because our fight for progress will continue to bear fruit. So I want to thank you for letting me spend a few minutes talking to you this morning. But most of all, I want to thank you for all that you have done. Thank you for your faith in this mission, and thank you for your faith in the people that we all seek to help. I cannot wait to see what we're going to achieve in the days and weeks and months coming ahead. And the Department of Justice is so proud to be with you in this fight. Thank you so much for the work that you have done.
I think you all now see why it is such a pleasure to get up and work every day under this Attorney General, who is so committed to this work and committed to everything that you all are doing. So please join me in thanking her again.